Thinking of harvesting comb honey? I'm going to share with you an easy way that you can do it in your beehives. It's actually less time than harvesting liquid honey with an extractor. It requires no extra equipment and the package is the same cost as a jar of honey. My name is Larissa. This is my channel called Beekeeping Made Simple, and I have been harvesting and selling comb honey for about 7-8 years now. I've sold to restaurants, honey packing companies, catering companies, and at farmers markets. Why on earth would somebody want to harvest comb honey? Even if you are sold on it, listen to these tips, because when you're selling, it helps to have this for the customer. It is going to give you the maximum health benefits from the hive. You have little bits of pollen, maybe a little bit trace amounts of propolis in there. There are studies that have shown that beeswax is actually good for your heart and lowering cholesterol. The reason why a lot of consumers like the idea of comb honey is because they know that it wasn't processed. It wasn't treated, it wasn't heated up to high temperatures. It went straight from the bees into that package and into their hands. Speaking of pollen, some people will consume local honey because they wanted to help with allergies and sinus problems, but putting pollen traps on your hive can be tricky. Pollen has a short shelf life and pollen can go bad in those traps. But when you harvest comb, there will be small amounts of bee bread inside those cells, which is a much better way to consume pollen. And then there are the enzymes in honey. Now, all honey has enzymes in it. They have antibacterial, antimicrobial properties. But when honey is exposed to sunlight, oxygen, such as when it's being spun, heat, especially not even just high temperatures, but extended low heat, like when you are heating up a bucket or a barrel in order to put the honey in jars, and metals like in your extractor, this all kills enzymes in your honey. But with comb honey, especially in the way that I am going to show you, cuts back on the killing of these enzymes. And since a lot of beekeepers don't want to go through the effort to harvest comb honey, this can be an extra product that you can sell at markets and to stores. That was how I got into selling honey, because the honey packing company I worked for said, we can't find anyone who wants to sell comb honey, but there is a demand for it and we are being asked for it. So I saw that hole in the market and decided to fill it. Otherwise, I would have been just one more honey table amongst the 5 others at the farmers markets. But comb honey is a pain, you say. What if they build cross comb and they connect it to the frames? What, do I have to check on my bees all the time to fix it? The purpose of this video is to teach you how to harvest comb honey in a way that is easy to do and manageable for any backyard beekeeper. Or actually commercial beekeepers, because it is not a time-consuming process. This video is sponsored by SimplKomb. I contacted this company when I heard about it. I am so excited to try this in my hives. I'm so bummed out that I did not know about this when I was selling large quantities of comb honey to that honey packing company. It's amazing. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to unbox one of these packages so you can see what you get, and then we're going to pop it in a frame and see how easy it really is to try this. I've never done this before. I didn't do a demo before, just so that you could see what the process is like in figuring it out. It might take a couple of minutes, but bear with me as we try this. When you get your SimplKomb package, it's going to come in a fairly small, lightweight box. This is actually a double pack, but you can get a single pack. A single pack has enough comb containers to fill up one 10-frame honey super that is medium height. And so for each box, each honey super, you would have 20 of these sheets, which they call cassettes, and it comes to a total of 80 packages of honeycomb. You put 2 of these cassettes per medium frame. This box is a double box, so this is enough cassettes for 2 honey supers. Now, what's great about this is that you just pop this into your frames and you can put a whole box for comb honey onto your hive, Or they call this the Bunt pack, and they say that you can do 3 frames of these containers in the center of your box, and they give you these follower sheets. If you watched my previous video, the link is in the description, I talk about the benefit of using the follower board to manage space in the beehive. It's something that a lot of top bar beekeepers use, but not very common with Langstroth style hives, but so helpful in managing the space. So I'm going to show you in a little bit how to do that. But what's great is that you don't have to just throw a whole honey super full of these frames onto your hive. If, say, you don't know what's going to happen, it's your first time doing it, you don't know if there's enough. For me, this is my first year in this location. So I don't know how much honey the bees are going to be bringing in. I don't even know if this is a good spot for the bees. So trying out the Bunt pack and putting just 3 frames in my honey super would be the way that I would start out to see how it goes. This is made with eco-friendly recycled material. The material is composed of about 25% recycled bottles. It is made from PET, post-consumer recyclable. This packaging can be recycled. It has a number 1 in the recycling symbol. So don't forget to tell people when you give them this comb honey to recycle this container. These packages come unwaxed, so we will have to wax them before we put them into the beehive. And when full, this is about 5.5 ounces of honey, but can vary a little bit, and they say it can weigh up to 7 ounces. So you would want to sell this for about $10. Often comb honey goes for $1.50 to $2 an ounce, where I've seen that regular liquid honey is often sold nationwide for about $1 an ounce. Before we put anything inside the hive, you want to make sure that the hive is prepared. That means you want the hive to be level. If you cannot easily level the space, it's on a considerable slope, then put it on a pallet so that you can level out the leg. You also want proper bee space. So that means 10 frames in a 10 frame box, 8 frames in an 8 frame box. Do not space the frames apart. You do not want to be feeding your bee syrup. Anytime you are putting a honey super onto a beehive, you should be done feeding syrup. And this is another big thing to harvesting comb honey, is there needs to be a nectar flow. Often what people will do is put boxes for comb honey on the hive at the end of the year. Okay, the bees filled up enough honey to get them through winter, to get me some honey to harvest, and now I'll just throw some comb honey containers on. But now it is the end of the year. Bees have to consume honey in order to secrete wax and build the comb, and then they have to fill up the comb. So they are not going to be using up those resources to build more comb unless they have enough honey coming in to do so. Now let's see how these cassettes work and if I can actually get them into a frame. Here I have my frame. I have 2 cassettes to fill the frame, and I have the instructions that it came with. It says, first, make sure that the Langstroth style frames you have grooves on the top and bottom bars. So here we have the bottom bar, there's a groove, and here we have the top bar, and there's another groove. Next, we're going to put our cassettes on a flat surface with the cups facing down. Fold the lid backwards and snap firmly in place on the back of the cups. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing to the other one. So the open side, the side that's going to hold the comb, goes flat down on the table, and you're going to fold it backwards. We want to measure the space in between the top and bottom bars here. Mine is a little under 5 1/4. So it says that if it's just 5-inch space between the top and bottom bars, Then you want to fold these tabs down right here. Fold the tabs closest to the hinge down and away from the cup. And then they have a photo on the guidelines. So you would be doing this to ensure that it stays in. But my frame is 5 1/4. So it says for 5 1/4 inch space between the top and the bottom, you might want to keep the tabs unfolded. All right, this is my first time doing this. We have the hinge part, supposed to be on the top. We have the part that the bees fill up, facing out. Going to put the outer part stays on the outside of the frame and the inner part goes in the grooves. So I am a little bit on the side here so that I'm not blocking the camera. It makes it a little bit awkward. But, okay, so I got it in the bottom groove. I think you just push it down. Get it in the upper groove. Flip it over. Make sure it's in that upper groove. All right. It's in there. It's in there. I think that's it. Flip it over and do the other side. Make sure you have hinge right side up. Put this in that bottom bar. Push down. They say you can use a butter knife if you need to. I can imagine someone with larger hands might need one. I have pretty small fingers, so this isn't really painful or difficult for me to do with my fingers. And that's that. That took just a few minutes. I'm a pretty slow moving person, so if that only took me a couple minutes, probably be even faster for you. They say to put some thumbtacks in the top, maybe one at the bottom, on either side, just to hold it in because honey's heavy. Next, we are going to put some beeswax in here, just like you would do with plastic foundation. You want to encourage the bees in here with some beeswax. So they recommend they used a little edging brush from a hardware store to put the beeswax in, which really does look like the best way. But you can use another sponge, a different kind of sponge, or just a paintbrush. The way I prefer to melt beeswax for my candles and everything is using a crock pot. So you don't want that beeswax to get too hot though, because you will melt these things. They say that the wax should be between 140 to 175 degrees. You don't want it too cool or else it's going to harden before you even put it on here. Okay, now we're ready to put it in the super. So you want to take an empty super and you can put 10 of these frames with the wax in the package in your box. You'll see here, there is a gap that is definitely bigger than 3/8 of an inch. Get my handy dandy ruler that came with my binder here. It's actually almost an inch space. And a lot of boxes vary in how large they are. But what you can do is here I have a dummy board. Some people call it a follower board. There's a slight difference between the two. But this one doesn't go all the way to the bottom. It is, you know, pretty much the size and shape of a frame, but it's not so thick. And we're going to put that right in here. And this is helpful not just with these cassettes, but really if you are going foundationless, or if you're finding that your bees are building comb in weird ways, building it off of the foundation, then packing your frames close together and having a follower board like this will be helpful. That is if you want to do a full box full of comb honey. But the other option, if you're just starting out with comb honey and want to give it a shot, is to do their Bunt pack, which it comes with these plastic follower sheets, and what you would do is allow the bees to build honey in this box. It could have foundationless frames, you could have frames with foundation. So now once those 3 frames in the middle are totally capped and ready for harvesting, or maybe they're just mostly drawn out and the bees are drawing out and really filling up these other frames on the sides, you can take those 3 frames out of the center and you can put 3 of these frames inside. And then what they say to do is you want to take those plastic follower sheets that they give you and you want to put them on either side of your frames with the cassettes. So we have our plastic follower sheet, our 3 frames with the cassettes, another plastic follower sheet, and then we have our frames with the comb that they're already drawing out and foundation. So you're just having the bees build comb in the cassettes in the center 3 frames. A few tips for you guys, just in general when harvesting comb honey. You want to freeze your comb after you harvest it. It can be this frame with the packages still in it, or you can take them all out and snap them together. But it should be frozen for a good 48 hours to make sure any ants or living things that were on that comb are now dead. You also really want to go easy on the smoke. Comb honey should not taste smoky. One person at a table selling honey was like, oh, that's just how comb honey tastes. No. So that is what I have for you about comb honey. Follow along with me as I try it in the summertime. There is a coupon code for you guys if you would like to try it out yourselves. SimplKomb is just a really great business to support as well. They are a father-daughter company, a family-run farm in Minnesota. I hope you give it a try and leave below in the comments how it went, your successes and failures, so we can all help each other out and learn together. Thanks for watching. See you next time.